Hello, hello, hello. Strong Medicine Lesson 2, the gene environment connection. As always, train your focus. Here we have Wim Hof focusing. Probably has a lot of brown fat cells, but you'll learn about those soon enough. So, genes are made of DNA. Genes are the smallest unit of genetics that is coherent in the same way that language, the smallest unit of a language that is coherent is a word. The way letters are to words are the way that DNA is to genes. Genes create proteins. Proteins do everything in the entire body. Proteins are enzymes, produce neurotransmitters, are neurotransmitters, hormones, other chemicals comprise our immune system, make up cell walls, arterial walls, everything in our body. Everything that we are really is physically is determined by genes and the proteins that they create, which proteins they create, how many, in what context, all of this. And you can think of the genome, which is the sum total of all our genes, as a cookbook. The cookbook has recipes in it. The recipes are the genes, and the foods that they create are proteins. So, genes and gene expression. So, just because you have genes does not mean that the genes are going to be expressed. We have so many genes. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but so many tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of genes, and not all of them are being expressed at the same time. I think only a small minority of genes are ever expressed at the same time. So, well, why have all these genes then? Well, human beings are complicated, animals are complicated, life is complicated, and the environments that we live in are complicated. So, in order to adapt to our environment, one of the mechanisms that we have is gene expression. Gene expression is the ability to not activate all our genes at once or selectively activate genes. And this looks like, in terms of the cookbook analogy, not determining how the recipe is made because we're not going to alter the recipe. That would be mutation, which would not be gene expression. That'd be mutation, which is a different thing. But in gene expression, we wouldn't alter the recipes, but we would determine if the recipes are made at all, how many times the recipes are made, when the recipes are made, et cetera, which recipe is made even. So for fat cells, we have white and brown fat cells, and which fat cell we have is determined by gene expression. When we are exposed to cold, our bodies activate the genes to create brown fat cells. Brown fat cells have mitochondria in them. They are capable of burning themselves up to produce heat. And this is a great thing. I mean, white fat cells, brown fat cells, which one is created is determined by environmental exposure to cold. And to define environment with regards to gene expression is very important because genes are expressed with relation to environment. In this context, environment is the air you breathe, how you move, how you walk, how you do everything, your posture, literally everything that isn't basically your genome, honestly. I mean, even your mother's womb constitutes your environment in early life. Your emotional situation is environment. The demands on you are environment. The food you eat is certainly environment. All of these things are environment, basically everything but you. Like if we were to have you, like draw you, everything that isn't you, like everything that isn't just your present form is environment. And that is having an influence on your gene expression, which is having an influence on your current form. Two identical twins can have the exact same genes, but they could be radically different. One could be very fat, the other one could be very lean. One could be a marathon runner, the other could be a power lifter. They could have these radically different forms, even though they have the same genes because of gene expression. Gene expression is what makes this possible. Gene expression can be improved or worsened. Epigenetics is the main way that we adapt to the stresses of our environment. Too much of a stressor is bad for gene expression, while too much of a stressor is bad, while too little is also bad. this leads us to the concept of hormesis. So we need to have stressors. I'm going to get into that in the next video, actually. So wrapping this up.